possible value, and typically you'll be playing your highest value targets last in the round when you have card advantage, so Artifact tends to get denied a lot of value.
Yeah, Tailbot could always change the card art here for the Protector and make it into an Artifact Compression. The points wouldn't matter too much, it wouldn't swing at all. But maybe it just doesn't like the Protector card at all. Like we said here, he's a lot of points up, so it is a viable option, but maybe not the best in terms of winning this game.
Yeah, but here we see the beer coming out again. Big Tailbot, 38 points.
For the Chinese viewers, he has found it. It is in his hand. He is ready to get this combo off with his Infiltrators.
Yeah, meta. Is so important here. You can easily swing Menno in for, you know, almost 30 value. If those spell scores are huge with those Double Thunder Protectors, you know, Nilfgaard just dominates with Menno. It just wipes one off the board. Infiltrator itself is great. Menno has a decent body. It's just a really powerful play. But we're going to see Protector coming out over Artifact Compression, perhaps hoping to catch that big Infiltrator coming out of Joaquin.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Artifact Compression can also be used against, that, like you said, the Joaquin, and it may be more points if the Infiltrator comes out at 19, I believe, so it is pretty high, just value unit. Coming out at 19, it's very high value, and it gives Artifact Compression a solid 17 points of value, plus whatever it adds onto the Protectors, because it is a spell. So it's not too bad to keep for round 3, I think.
Yeah, I think so. And Sage is quite a nice draw here as well. That represents a full hit of beer, which is good. But yeah, we're going to see some pretty clutch Nilf. Nilfgaard play here. I like this is out in round 1, but he's just held on wonderfully and managed the game fantastically. Really big fan of this player. He just seems to be micromanaging his games so well.
Yeah, he's brought very efficient decks. Pull off their strategy consistently every single game is extremely important because you can get guaranteed results game after game against pretty much any matchup, which is something you want to do in a tournament. You want to make sure you have the highest chances to win every single matchup against any leader, really. And I think Hannah-chan is really, you know, he's doing this in every single game against Tailbot.
Yeah, Hannah-chan is playing wonderfully right now. He's even just denying artifact compression targets. This is not looking good for Tailbot right now. That Menno swings in for an enormous 24 points worth of value, but it is much more than that realistically, because that is just, it's Tailbot's last big power play disappearing.
Yeah, exactly. And we see a Sire as well. Can shuffle back cards like Roach, for example. Obviously, Joaquin doesn't draw you a guaranteed card. It's not like a reinforcement, for example. It draws a card at random. Obviously, having 4 cards in your deck, I think Hannah-chan knows his deck pretty well, knows exactly what's there and what his options are. So I think he has a very high chance of not misplaying this. And of course, we see Vilgefortz as well being able to burn that one.
Vilgefortz can just burn the 20 strength Double Planet Protector.
It can do that as well.
there's no reason not to. I mean, the likelihood of, okay, appears a pretty good draw. That's 12 points, but there's nothing that he could have drawn that would have been better than that Protector. So. Yeah, Tailbot calls GG, and that's going to be 2-0 to Hannah-chan in this series.
When you win as a...
This matchup, I'm looking forward to this one. I love me some Scoia'tael right now, and War Dancer's coming in for the mulligan. Such a great card. War Dancer is one of those cards that's always been waiting for its spot in the meta, I feel. But we see it being mulliganed and jumping onto the board. If you haven't seen a War Dancer before, it is quite a unique card actually. When it's mulliganed, it is instead played from your hand and you draw another card. But it is mulliganed and double gold weather makes an appearance. How do you see the weather doing in this match against the... these armor smiths?
I mean, Tailbot does have the answers to this. He has the armor smiths, he has the Gremist, but it's still very dangerous. You can't really go into a long round 3 if you don't have a guaranteed answer. We don't really see Gremist in hand right now. Figured out and get that carryover ready for round 2. And if Hannah-chan tries to counter that with his Yavin, guess what? Tailbot has Ulrich as well. So it's going to be hard for Hanatan having to go first and having to stay in this in round 2 as well. With the carryover, it's going to be really tough for him, I think.
Yeah, Brown, a fantastic deck on the coin flip victory, especially when you view cards such as Lugos and stuff in a very reactionary sense. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets him out later, but right now, that Ragnarok is doing work, although there is an Armor Smith waiting to heal all the damage.
And maybe we'll see the Armor Smith right now because it will, obviously the Ragnarok will kill that Morkvarg and will reset some of his strength, and the Tailbot does, I think, care a lot about these rest ticks for the Sarah. And also just in general, the points for round 2 and round 3 of carryover.
Yeah, I mean, he could block the Morkvarg from getting hit. Ragnarok prioritizing the highest strength that you make about. He knows that he's going to see another Dwarven Agitator, and this isn't like the previous game where when you operate a Double Thunder Protector, it's going to be getting all of that, you know, boosting from the spells you play. An Agitator is always going to be an Agitator, right? So there's no necessary advantage to operating it early, other than guaranteeing have it in your hand. But the movement here was very important to kill that Morkvarg.
And important to note as well, Muzzle in Hanatan's hand. We saw it before. Muzzle stealing an Olgerd in round 2. It's quite a good use for the card. I think it makes, you know, Muzzle a very, very good card in terms of utility, not just raw stats. Another card that got really good utility.
Muzzle into Muzzle. Seems
and
good.
Hanatan deciding to not save that Muzzle for Olgerd, just trying to get that marksman and get this pressure right now in round 1. Obviously, he has a huge point gap. Weather's still ticking. He might decide to pass depending on Tailbot's next play, because obviously this is a big, big point gap, and he knows that if he continues playing, he will not have control of round 2, and he will go a card down if there is still carryover from Tailbot. And we do have still Olgerd in the graveyard, so there is that going for Tailbot at least.
Yeah, Tailbot's got a great opportunity To catch up here with an Armor Smith onto that Yavin would be absolutely devastating Hannah-chan, especially when, bearing in mind that I imagine he would also heal the Warmonger. That would get armored, and that is a real boost to withstanding that Ragnarok. So we may well see this Armor Smith go down in the season. And block out that Ragnarok as well as catch up, and here we go, that's what he's doing.
And Yavin and Carter was played so many turns ago, getting all that weather damage in the back row, but now Armorsmith coming in for so many points for a bronze card. It's really just way higher than average, and normally when you're playing a game and you get, you know, a 20 point bronze card, for example, you feel good because you know you're getting much more of a higher average per card. There's no chance to catch back up in card advantage.
Yeah, and actually it's interesting that we don't see another agitator come out yet for the operator to agitate, to operate even. And this is going to be tricky. He's going to thin out his deck quite nicely with these Blue Mountain Commandos right now, but honestly, that operator, he may regret not operating the 1 round 1, although the deck efficiency is pretty good, and he could see 1 round 3.
When we're talking about finishes, you might just see Brewer Hook, for example, being used to get that Barclay. L's out, and that is a big finish that you can get with Hattori later on as well. So I mean, we have that chance to see, you know, maybe that as a finisher instead of the more to make Tailbot spend 2 cards and that way equaling out the card advantage, because obviously without Yavin, you can't really do that in this round 2.
Yeah, I don't expect to see Hannah-chan play too much more into this. It looks like we might see the restored. Just setting up that Sugdriffer target for next round, and it's going to be a Priestess of Freya brought back to the hand. 8 base power Priestess of Freya. That is one dense Priestess. My goodness.
Yeah, it's not something you normally see. Obviously, Freya's, they revive a unit, so they're very low strength, so they have a very strong ability when they get deployed, but 8 Freya feels good when you have that restore in hand, and that combo with diluted, it doesn't matter as much. If you go with only 2 or 3 cards, it's a big difference in terms of percentage of points.
Yeah, I mean, this drought was doing 6 points of attrition damage, so do you think Hannah-chan pushed pushes really far into this round.
If he does, he's going for maybe a 2-0 or a chance to equal out card advantage. If he doesn't, I think it would be smart because he might go, like I said before, with 1 card into round 2 and his opponent having 2. That's 50% more cards. That's a big, big difference.
Yeah, and it's not like there's even like no real coral target or anything. Even a 10-point target, that's 13 value from a coral. While 13-point gold, not exactly earth-shattering, it's not dead, right? So Tailbot has a lot of high-value cards in his hand, and he like how much will know this. He knows playing against Skellige, they pack a punch. So I'm very, very interested to see what his next move is here.
And we do know there's only 1 Armor Smith in Tailbot's deck, so he only has the one that is in his graveyard. Of course, Drought taking every turn is going to do a lot of damage as well, so maybe Hanachan thinks he can 2-0 here, at least try and equal out the card advantage. There is a big point gap here. You can't really do much here. And he's going to just go into a round 3 with 1 card less. That could be massive. I mean, you have 25% less cards than your opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going into round 3 now with 2 Mercenaries and Hattori going up against 2 Harpooners, a Mercenary and Battle Maiden. The draws are going to be key here. War Dancer, nice little mulligan card to be fair. It's going to counter the carryover of Olgierd at least. We see triple Dwarven Mercenaries coming out.
This is something you don't normally see. Mercenaries normally cards you pull out with Agitators, not cards you play outright. Obviously, without using Agitators, it loses 2 points every time, so it's not ideal. But of course, with the War Dancer in hand, you have to mulligan the War Dancer. You don't want to keep a War Dancer in hand, because that would be absolutely terrible playing 3 points from hand. Not ideal either.
Yeah, while it may be sort of next level mind games, I think playing blank War Dancers through your hand probably isn't particularly advisable. So we do see it get mulliganed, and we see Gremist come out. Bet he wishes he had that last round.
The most interesting thing to see here is the fact that depending on the mercenaries you have in your deck, pulling Barclay Elves into an Agitator might be a dead Agitator, because Agitator spawns.
But what you're used to seeing coming out of Hattori, you're used to that very, very powerful sort of, you know, Hattori, Barkley, Agitator, Mercenary, which is 20. It's like, it's Scoia'tael's essentially, it's their only one-card finisher, right? It's like Scoia'tael Tibor almost. But Hattori gets punished for his failures, getting shot by a Whale Harpooner, and now we see the Blue Mountain Tempo come out.
And again, when you're a card down in round 3, you want to have, you know, those very big plays that can maybe, because they're such great plays, can crush your opponent even though he has a card more and try and win the game. Using Hattori for 6 points, not what Hanatan had in mind, I think, when he was envisioning this.
He's got, to be fair, these games have been closer than the score. Scoreline reads right now, so Tailbot taking a game, of course, absolutely vital for him, and we'll see if he can equal it out in the next game.
Well, the game's only closer than it seems because the last cards aren't even being played. We saw Joachim being kept in Hanatan's hand last game, and of course here we see a Mercenary not even having to be played from Tailbot's hand. I think there's a big disparity. Here, and I think the main thing is card advantage in round 2. Both times a player is going a card down into round 3, not in ideal situations, not very close situations, and it means that one player will win very one-sidedly.
Yeah, out in this one actually, I'm liking Scoia'tael deck from him so far.
Not only that, but Hanatan doesn't have any great answer to this very, you know, high strength units selected protectors in round 3. There is no Scorch. There is no, you know, unit that can really get rid of these high strength units. There's no Igni either. There's no real punish for these high strength units that are burst plates in round 3 as finishers. So, I mean, Tailbot, maybe a reverse sweep going on here?
Maybe. I think it's very early. At 2-1 down, I think it's very early to be calling the reverse sweep. But the dream is alive for Tailbot, and it's certainly looking
if he's able to save those protectors and use them all in round 3 without any clear counters, no Scorch to hit multiple protectors, that can be a very, very strong finish for Tailbot in round 3.
I think this would be the first time I've ever seen 3 operators on the board in a competitive game of Gwent, if it is played this turn. I hope it is before they start dying, because I just want to see it on the board. But yeah, really fantastic to see such a niche card just taking the spotlight in here.
Yeah, 3 operators on board. The future's bright for Gwent.
This player uses this card. Playing it very aggressively in round 1, both times that we've seen it, just using it as another big source of tempo without even having Marksman on the board. Marksman, he really does seem to just favour as a Dwarven Mercenary target, so you can move it, buff it, and fire. But this is crazy to see Zoltan used in such an aggressive manner.
I think he knows that Ifling can get rid of those marksmen. He's trying to find, points and value out of his Zoltan, out of movement in general, by doing obviously on the Blue Mountain Commandos, a card you don't normally want to Ifling, immediately, because it's just 3 points of strength. You can probably think, nothing's going to happen here. But we do see Tailbot, for example. It makes a big difference in terms of the way that these cards and how the deck works, because with Farseers you have to really save them for specific rounds, because they're really your point generators apart from protectors, and your way of getting those points on the board in round 1 and 2. But here with Sage, it makes, I think, a lot more versatile. You can really spend them in round 1, round 2, it doesn't matter as much. But it is really interesting here. We do see, instead of an Ale, a Sage Thunder into the Marksman. Another chance, another way to control here, being able to play that Thunder, kind of like an Ethne Thunder, but a little bit less points. But save it for round 3. If you get your pull, it's great. If you don't, it makes it kind of troublesome, because like we saw last time, he operated a mercenary, which was an ideal for Hanachan in round 3 last game.
Yeah, it's a really high value card to give your opponent. So I find Hanachan such a fascinating player to watch because he just has some wonderful playstyles that are really unique, and obviously it works for him, right? Like things like the very aggressive Zoltan, the very late game operators, really unique playstyles, which is great to see coming from this Chinese player.
And we see the Ale there losing value for Tailbot, only buffing
Kartę kontrolną Schucharta w programie Excel.
2 rows instead of 3. That could be trouble. I mean, you're losing points there for no reason, and Tailbot might be aware of this. Maybe he doesn't have. I mean, he could have played maybe the Sage into a Thunder again, but of course, not really any targets on Hanachan's board. So I mean, it's tough. This spell deck doesn't really have that many units, so it makes it tough to find sometimes a
Wonderful card.
Exactly. Before, you just used to be maybe Zoltan, maybe a finisher with Marigold's Hailstorm back in the day when that card was quite a bit of trouble for a lot of players. But nowadays you see maybe a finisher that doesn't depend so much on your opponent's board. And obviously with the gold change, the fact that they can't get hit by Marigolds, for example, it makes it so that maybe relying on Hattori is a better choice than a card like Marigolds, for example.
Yeah, we're getting to the point where the points gap is pretty crazy. There you go. As I was just saying, the points gap was pretty crazy, 32 points. Tailbot had to pass here or just risk getting absolutely bled out of this game.
And now Hanachan has a chance to draw into the rest of his gold weather. He has a chance with Yavin as well. 2 spells left in deck. Drought, no need, comes right into his hand. He still has muzzle from the Yavin as well, and he can go into a pretty long round 3. Does he want to, though? Does he want to bleed out these protect strategy at all? But still, you know, it helps a little bit. Every single point counts. Maybe not so much in the situation where Hanachan's bleeding and there is, you know, such a massive point gap already.
I mean, look at what's happening. It's just fantastic. Every card that Hanachan plays is responded to with a super high value card, whether it be Ithne, you know, whether it be ADC or a Protector. All Tailbot has to play are parts of his win condition. You're looking at the jigsaw piece. That allow him to win this game. They are all vital. Without one, you can't do it. And that's what Hannah-chan's doing. He's just going, well, my cards are good, but your cards are crucial, so I'm just going to bleed them out of you right now.
So now every card is being
like really key round 3. There is significant power coming out for both players. We have 30 points. That's going to go higher from Double Thunder Protectors because of spells. Marching Orders, I believe, would be pulling a Sage or a Mercenary, which would result in another Beer. So there are real points on the board for Tailbot. Can Hannah-chan catch up to this?
And like we said before, there is no counter here for the Protectors. We see again the Operator not finding the greatest targets. I mean, it's a chance that you have to get the Agitators and get the great. Don't get it off. It's not fantastic. And obviously, really the rounds don't matter here. There's just standard points here. There's no drought ticking for it.
To catch, that is going to be 33 points to catch for Hannah-chan. Barclay from Hattori, 20 or so. This is going to be an incredibly close round.
It's going to be close. And again, Hannah-chan coming into this round and card up, but Tailbot with 5 Protectors, such high amount of Protectors, even being bled out of so many of them in round 2. It might just be enough, the strategy that he's playing here. Especially, and the Marksman.
Hit the Quen.
It does hit the Quen. That's incredible. That might be game
Well,
deciding.
actually, no, okay, it was going to hit the coin because he moved it, but now that hits the mercenary. So he moved the Quen Protector, which ate the Quen up and guaranteed the hit. But now we see Barclay coming out.
He knows to get those.
No, it's just that. No, Tailbot's got this one. That's. Not going to be enough.
Yeah, it's not enough.
It's not enough. It is so close.
By one, players do favor consistency and try and favor, guaranteed results. But of course, Marvin's Blue Dream, a card that doesn't really do that. It's it depends on your opponent's graveyard, what cards he uses as well. So it's tricky to use properly. It has that. Synergy that might be, a game deciding for Tailbot, but in the end, it's a risky card to play in the tournament.
Yeah, but we see Tailbot doing the reverse Petrify and drawing all 4 golds out of his deck in his opening hand, so that puts him in a great position.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Tailbot being to go second in this last game, I think is massive for him. It gives you, a fairly solid, chance to play your game. Obviously, it would be a silver card in Death Mold summoning that first flight, but still a great combo and a great way to prevent that Golden Weather from getting a lot of value.
Yeah, I find it really interesting, these hands, how they're going to pair up. Will we finally see an operator onto an agitator now that he's playing against Northern Realms, where he can be pretty confident they're not playing Bronze Dwarves. So it'll be interesting to see how Operator is used again. I feel like Operator, if I'm honest, has been a big sticking point for Hannah-chan this series.
And now, important to note, we're seeing Marvin's Blue Dream. It can res a spell like Drought or like Ragnarug. And do we see any clears, for example, from Hannah-chan? He does have that one Ida. That could be a good answer, but that's pretty much it. So, I mean, maybe we can see Hannah-chan being beaten in his own game as well throughout this game.
Oh my goodness. That is such a good point. The hand Marvins for the Drought is crazy. I mean, Hannah-chan has the movement to keep things on one row generally, but that is a really good point. If this is returned, there could be no answer for it. We haven't seen Ida come out yet. Like, that could be momentous in this match.
You have Broover that can pretty much summon Ida at any point in time, so you have that answer always ready to go. But you're wasting Broover on that instead of a card like, for example, Barclay Eldritch.
Have some very, very good applications. It typically can be a little bit better against Henselt because you can use it to deny Henselt targets, but here you can use it to deny sort of crewman opportunities, so there's some good stuff that you can do with Muzzle in this match for Hannah-chan.
And Yavin, of course, a card that synergizes well with the faction it's being played in. Most cards, like Ulrich, for example, discard it, synergizes well with discard, but Yavin, it draws a spell from your deck, and like you said, it's a random spell you can't choose, so he got Muzzle there, he did not get the second Golden Weather, he has Lacerate and Hand already, so only one spell left. It was a 50-50. In the end, he got Muzzle, not the worst card, but maybe he needed that Golden Weather.
If Hannah-chan was to really want to all in on his weather, even though it would be a 6-point gold, he could theoretically steal the Death Mold and prevent the Shani res on it, which would leave Tailbot so open to Ragnarok. So there's interesting things that you can do here. Tailbot goes to the pass. Very interesting, giving Hannah-chan just an opportunity to go to -1 to take this round.
I think Tailbot is aware of Hannah-chan's possibility to
It's the deploy effect of that card and just prepare it on the board for future movement.
And playing into this round, if Tailbot's able to catch up here, he is able to, stay a card up for round 3, and that's absolutely massive, obviously, in this game that matters so much for both players. And obviously, if you're using Golden Weather, although Hannah-chan did not draw it, won a long round 3. But cards like Ballista, for example, can also generate a lot of points in round 3 as well. So maybe he's trying to just bleed out a few of these important cards for Tailbot.
And here we see the Radovid going to lock that, doesn't want any of this movement nonsense. Again, giving up a point on the Radovid by killing a 3-strength unit with it, but both players just seem very reluctant to really commit into this round.
And Fog, he maybe says, I don't have Drought, I'm going to play this Fog instead, but Tailbot can't know this. He doesn't know if it's a trick or not. And he asked that he can't really use that Shani to clear it just yet, and that's going to add up to quite a lot of points here. Tailbot, of course, does not have any Armor Smiths in his deck. deck. They're solely Skellige units, not going to be found in Northern Realms, and that means, you know, he's in a bit of a predicament here.
Yeah, you're so correct reading the mind game read there, because, of course, Ragnarok is still in the deck. He knows this. He's seen Hanachan's list. He's played against it already, for goodness sake. So he's not going to spend his own... The Barclay Elves come out this round, which will really, really be the moment where Hanachan gets the opportunity to seize back card advantage, because that's going to create a big point swing in his favour. So, like you say, it'll be very interesting to see how far he pushes into this round, and will we finally see... Agitator operated.
But then again, Infantryman and Tailbot's hand, he has a big point swing to answer that Barclay Elves. I mean, both players have the, you know, the decent chance here, I think. And of course the Ballista here with a double crewman, going to do a lot of damage and stick.
So Tailbot's going to have to cut some of his resources loose and kind of just, you know, make sure he ends up with at least one strong finish for round 3.
You can go for a Shawnee Deathbolt now. It's a bit late, but it still gets full heal on those units for 2 points because of the most recent Clear Skies buff. In the recent patch, so I mean it's not the worst thing in the world, and there's some armor there as well, just in case Hanachan decides to somehow damage that, maybe with a movement tool with the marksman as well, pinging it. So the armor not too bad, but Hanachan finally plays
in the final and a place in Challenger next month. This is an incredibly important round of Gwent. All rounds of Gwent are important, but of course, this one is even more so. So this is a crazy, crazy ending to a series. Both players on such a level footing.
One important thing to note, no gold weather, so no real synergy with movement. We see no marksman, we see no BMCs. You know, maybe it doesn't get pulled as well, but we see here Tailbot deciding to stack that back row, moving, you know, as many units as possible, even though there's 6 units, just to make sure that even if one is moved now, he still has the full targets for Commander's Horn. Tailbot, a 20-point gap, 2 cards left for Hennetan, and just still not played.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just Tailbot pulling off a reverse sweep, just like Freddy did in game 1 of the tournament. I think it's great to see as well for the viewers, thinking you're out of the battle, but having the mental fortitude to stay in it, continue, you know, trudging along, battle. It out with your decks, with Spelltel, we saw, you know, some great decks as well. And I think Tailbot, in the end, the mental fortitude obviously grinded a lot of pro ladder. He was, you know, ready, he knows his matchups, and he was able to pull it off.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, he was right. Well, you know, Hannah-chan lost. He didn't lie, so congratulations to Tailbot, it's fantastic. It looks like
big leaks, I think. That might be a spell card, that sword. I mean, what do you think that could be? I mean, we don't know right now, but just from seeing the card arts, I think it was fantastic to see. And this tournament has it all. Great matches, has leaks here and there from Burza as well, so you really can't complain as a viewer.
Yeah, Burza even likes to tease us with the leaks while we're in the studio with him, so we're really looking forward to seeing this new stuff. I absolutely can't wait. Very excited for that, but congratulations to Tailbot. And before we go into the final, we have a short video for you.
It's constantly vary the factions. Deck types they use. Every pro ladder season, players will be rewarded with crown points, accounting for their achievements during Gwent Masters and its events. Players will receive crown points for placing in the top 200 of the pro ladder at the end of each season, participating in official tournaments sporting a $250,000 prize pool. Most importantly, the event will determine who from the 8 competitors entering the battlefield will become the first ever Gwent World Champion. Participants will include up to 5 winners of previous Challenger events and up to 7 players with the most crown points in the pro ladder accumulated over the seasons leading up to Gwent World Masters. Each official CD Projekt Red tournament of the Gwent Masters series will follow the same single elimination format, with the winner being determined in a best-of-5 game series.
That ending play with Dijkstra coming down into Ronvid Commander's horn. and also, you know, the summoning circle and the operator for the 5 protector game near the end there. It really, this tournament so far has had everything with the reverse sweep from Tailbot's side, an incredible play from Freddy Babes in the first semifinals. The stage is set right now for a really, really great finals match. The players are just getting ready right now, but we have a lot of people that have joined the stream, of course, and maybe you want another maybe explanation.
His red of it has received some criticism, and you know, I think he's shut a lot of people up with it. He's definitely performed really well with it and has two lineups that are very dangerous with the carryover game, and 2 decks that are very proactive and also have a lot of control tools. While Tailbot is bringing quite the peculiar lineup himself, the only player to bring Ethne, the only player to bring Harold the Cripple, Emir, and Radovid in the lineup as well. I really hard to tell what bans we should be expecting, but why speculate when we can know?
Well, I do believe that's actually a graphical error. That should be King Bran, if I'm not mistaken,
sorry.
for Tailbot. Yeah. Harold the Cripple still not represented in tournaments these days. Very underrepresented leader, but that is
the rest of the decks start to differ a lot from there. So it's kind of going to be a little bit of an armor versus machine battle going on here, and it's very intriguing. And yes, Lambert does does have a lot of work to do here.
Yeah, I mean,
for Lambert.
yeah, there should be a lot of opportunities here with the Blue Stripe Scouts and Commandos. Hopefully, for Lambert to get extra value. Of course, he does damage units of the same type, or the exact same type, I should say. So if there are multiple units with the same name, Lambert will tag them all. And, that's one of the more interesting choices that Freddie has brought in.
Blue Stripe Scouts, unless he resorts to utilizing John Natalis. John Natalis is his only way. John Natalis into reinforcement is the only chance he has to continue this cycle, or into marching orders, into Reaver Scout would make more sense, actually.
One of my favorite things about Gwent is that you don't just play with cards in your hand. You're really playing with your whole deck at all times. You have cards just like the Reaver Scout that we're seeing right now that are pulling more cards out of the deck. The Blue Stripe Scouts also pull out cards, or sorry, I should say the Blue Stripes Commandos come out with the if they have the same strength. Everything at that strength level that is bronze gets buffed, and a number of cards. See, that is one of the best you'll see. Lambert right there, getting all three units.
Freddie still has a lot of power plays. He still has to sell the Tensorville. I'm sorry for not pronunciation of that card. I'm Spanish, and that card is just, I don't even know.
Also known as Sheila de Tensorville.
Sheila de Tensorville. Yeah. I try. It's a very strong like it's representing 19 strength points. Like he has a lot of power plays here. Also Prince Dennis, potentially his own DJ, even though he doesn't. That has the crewman tag, and also the Death Wish ability of respawning. Onto the board on a random row, but with 1 base strength. This unit is very solid because not only does it give you a decent strength point, obviously you wouldn't just add a 10 strength silver onto your deck, right? But it is a sizable play in round. One, and it doesn't have any prior requirements, which is very good for a card like that. But the key thing with Ronvid is because it comes back when it goes down, that means that it respawns after a round ends. So it provides you with a little bit of carryover. And
Things like immediately counter muzzle, which we've seen a lot of play in this tournament, but you can find some really creative ways to win using your opponent's goals against them. And of course, double Dijkstra has
I think you guys
possibility.
You can expect reinforcement to Trololo here. Yep, here we go. Now, in a pretty long round like this one, unless Tailbot goes for the lock immediately with Radovid, this Trololo just very precise plays can be made here by Freddy Babes, and it'll be interesting to see if it's enough, because while Tailbot is 25 points behind, he's packing a lot of power.
Just to clarify, Neta takes cards from the graveyard and puts them back in the deck.
Yes.
And you know, that's really important right now, as Dijkstra will be pulling at least 2 of those cards out of the deck, and at the moment Freddy only has 1, so it's only a matter of time before he makes the decision what cards to be putting back in the deck. And I think that yeah, it's definitely Stennis.
And
I'm
here
not
we
sure
see
if you
the DJ, Dijkstra, a 4-strength agent, which means that it's a disloyal unit, which means that it's played on the opposing side. 9 armor from Tralalo, stealing it for himself and buffing himself up to 16. Points, boosting Freddy Babes up to 55. There is Margarita, a 6-strength silver agile unit with the deployability of resetting a unit and toggling its lock. So it can deny the ability of a unit, and at the same time it can take away all the extra buff in strength and bring it back down to its base strength value.
And really hard not to take that very, very tempting 9 points off of the heavy cavalry. But I mean, yeah, you definitely
Is
okay.
Ooh, okay. Okay, so those seems to be his best options. Okay, so that's gonna make Dijkstra a. That's not gonna be that strong of a Dijkstra. That's an 11-point Dijkstra.
Yep.
Ooh.
He's just going for as much possible points as he can, and it looks like 11 points is going to be as good as it can be. I mean, you know, Dijkstra is definitely capable of executing much more, but of course Dijkstra can pull silver cards and bronze cards. Nanika can't. Really break through against Tailbot in the finals. This is huge. Freddy Babe's last is super strong as well, and he's made some magic happen with that Radovid deck.
Ah, there is the Unseen Elder, perhaps one of the most well-performing leaders in this tournament. I really expected big things out of them. Unseen Elder because of its tremendous carryover power and the, you know, how hard it is to actually counter without taking very specific things that could make you vulnerable to other. Matchup. So a very, very powerful archetype that Freddy has. Freddy has ran a slightly different variant than the most standard, which is last in league, I believe. So it's going to be. I'm really intrigued to see how this matchup plays out. Out because I've wanted to see these two decks have a very similar play style, right? And
the Titans of carryover really consume monsters, and this is a very traditional Skellige list, I would say, from Tailbot. I mean, we've grown accustomed to King Brand over the last pro season and into this one as well, even with the new cards introduced, just made this deck a little bit better. And while this tournament has seen a lot of variation in Skellige, Croc on Crate being very well represented, this is just a very traditional list. We have the single Heimei battle and no visual distractions, just kind of focusing on the game as much as possible. Freddy Babe's looking to establish a little bit of carryover, of course, eating that egg, getting that extra boost that the egg provides on consumption, and now that resilient unit will be carrying over into the next round unless Tailbot can take care of it in some way.
Ekimara onto the board, getting him 1 point over Tailbot, just enough to really threaten Tailbot. He has a lot to consider. Right now, right there, and he is going to get Ceres out of the deck right here. This is, I mean, it is a decent passing opportunity for Freddy Babes. Because right now, if Freddy Babes were to pass, he will ensure that he gets that card over his opponent, as he can counter his opponent's spy with his own spy. So this is, you could definitely make a case for passing here. He has the carryover advantage. Ceres has already gone out of the deck, so her countdown timer is reset. But he's actually going to drop it. I mean, this is, you have to take this opportunity. You just got to get rid of her. Very
She's
nice.
such a pain later in the game, because she'll come out again and
Excellent.
again,
Like, yeah, he had
an hour later, which makes it a 16-point bronze unit or a 19-point monster nest ghoul unit as well. So now that the Frightener is in the graveyard, that's excellent ghoul food. Freddy has so much power left in this round. And Renew is going to, well, Renew would help him if he was able to get some gold cards, of course, but they're playing for the big money now.
They're playing for the glory. They're playing for the bucks. They're playing for, I guess, what else do you play for? That's it.
Glory and money.
What more
Fame.
do you want?
Love of the people, of course.
We see a very
Respect.
solid hand. Solid looking draws here for Freddy, drawing into the Imperial Manticore as he mulliganed right there. Now, I definitely expect Freddy to push hard this round. Even though he could just open pass and equal the state, I think you want to really take Bran into deep waters, especially when you have the
Crazy things being down 2 cards, and right now he is down. Down 2 cards, but you know he's not afraid to push. He's not afraid to push here.
It's going to be very interesting, though, because Tailbot is very aware of Freddy's strategy, and he is preserving his answer. Coral will transform the Necker into a 2-strength Jade figurine, and thus completely erase it from the game. It's transformed, like it's not going to the graveyard. There's no way Freddy Babes can just utilize that Necker anymore. and he doesn't have any other necker in his hand. So that's definitely going to be a problem, as he really is kind of relying on that
Negligible amount, but not a lot.
He's like, mine. He takes it down. But the most crucial thing here is that he's been able to deal with the carryover of this deck and also still preserve Coral. I think he's immediately going to replace his Armor Smith. It's just not representing much value at all in this matchup. Every single other card in his hand is very powerful. While Freddy's hovering over this Leno Harpy, whether, debating whether or not he should replace it, I think.
Well, he still has a Harpy. I mean, correct.
More turns and prevent, like, if you prevent all that damage, Armor Smith could still be worth a lot of value. But because he does not. Led off with it. Because he has not played it yet, Tailbot is assuming that he doesn't have it, so he's going to drop the Armor Smith and going to protect the two strongest units in both rows from Fog.
Will last. Which will be it'll be a 17-point ghoul right there. Madman Lugos is able to at least get decent value because there is a giant target on the board. But then again, what do you get Coral if you hit it with Lugos? So it's actually kind of it's mitigating a lot of the stuff that Tailbot can do, even though he's holding 2 gold cards.
He makes the laws here.
There is only one choice apparently, and that is
he does hit that with 9.
The 9 strength.
Both the reverse sweepers. going at it, ladies and gentlemen. This could be the very final match of the finals. And if Freddy does win this game, he will be proclaimed the Gwent Open #2 champion. Is that properly said? Gwent Open #2 champion?
Well, champion of Gwent Open, of course, this is a kind of our bronze level road to Challenger, which is ultimately the road to the Gwent Masters at the end of 2018. So far, that Hall of Fame only includes one player, and that is Shaggy. He won the previous Open, and of course, the very great life coach is the Challenger champion. We're going to go to the Challenger in December, and we're going to find out who is going to be the next champ, taking home that big ring. Right now, the players are looking at a
Blue Stripe Scouts. Because he took down that Blue Stripe Scouts, there is no longer no target, and Tailbot is going to miss out on both his thinning and his muster buffing. This is definitely a big for Tailbot, even though Freddy Babes has to he can actually potentially Emir and return one of these enforcers to his hand, and there's a battering ram, a machine that is 7 strength with deployability of damaging an enemy by 2. If it was destroyed, damage another enemy by 3, with a fresh crew of incrementing the damage. dealt by the first hit by 1. So if there's 1 crewman, it will deal 3. If there's 2 crewmen right next to it, there will be 4. Freddy Babes with the excellent emissary positioning, denying the
betrayals, battering ram. Number 1. Freddy Babes does have a lot of potential power in his hand, of course. Being able to play Kaok again to source another emissary. Of course, we see Iris. And there's no Nausicaa Brigade in his hand at this point. So, but he is able to kind of show that he could have it.
I think we're gonna see Horn here.
Yeah.
Or marching orders. I think marching orders can make more sense. Marching orders into the last Blue Stripe Scout. Oh no, Command's Horn. Okay, he wants to. To push hard. He wants to take advantage of the fact while forcing your opponent. While forcing your opponent to go down -2 is generally a very good thing. It's always better to win on an even card state. So it feels like you can still push him. That ballista generated a lot. A lot of power because he had 2 crewmen right next to each other with that Rat of it in the Blue Stripe Scout, and he's able to get some nice value out of it and still have a 20-point lead over the opponent, and he's gonna actually get the win in round 1 on an even card state, which, like I said, is so good.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Don't count Freddy out yet. I think anybody that's been doing that has been definitely.
And Vikram Armenic onto the emissary, and gonna pull a. Ooh, this is A bit awkward. I guess you take Nausicaa Brigade here, right? Well, no, Nausicaa Brigade is the only one you have, so that's awkward as hell.
Yeah, I think you have. Well, I mean,
I think you just turned the Vikramar Medic into a spy here.
I mean, they both kind of. It's tough, right?
You
Also,
don't on spy the opponent's thing. You just convert that into your interesting.
I guess you do. I guess you do that. Just want to also clarify. Dijkstra was played earlier in the game, so and Marvin's Blue Dream is able to source. On Tailbot's side is able to play
Games here, as he does have Shani and he does have the ability to reutilize Dijkstra, so he still has very powerful plays at his disposal, right? But Iris,
Dijkstra's hindered though. Dijkstra could be bad. Dijkstra could just be very weak, and I don't think Freddy doesn't want to give any other opportunities to Tailbot for Blue Dream. I mean, ultimately he will have to points if it's able to achieve full value here.
I think you go for assassination here. You take out Ronvid and you knock out the Ballista in case your opponent has the likes of Siege Master. Yeah, he's going over his graveyard, debating what he has left. Because he sees certain things in his graveyard, he's kind of like banking on whether, the odds of Ooh.
I mean, he can kill it. He can kill it by putting both.
Yeah, but
by
he
putting
loses a lot
all
of value.
You lose a lot of value, of course.
He's really
Here
preserving that
comes
assassination
Joaquin.
for the last. Oh yeah, he wants to. Yeah.
Oh, he gets. For game. Good night. Oh, so good.
He can hit that. He can hit the armor actually, and potentially. Oh, he's
Ladder, Atzikov, #2 pro ladder, at least for a while. Their Tailbot, and of course Super JJ. He had to run the gauntlet, go through some of the best players in the game. Miguel, what else is there to say, my friend? Look at these
I'm
prizes.
just constantly surprised by him. I love how many people were criticizing his deck list, and he's just been able to dominate again and again. He faced a very, very tough opponent, the #1 player. This kid has defeated the #1 player in the pro ladder.
Probably wouldn't be here doing this. So yeah, thanks a lot, and hope I can do well again in the future.
All right, guys, we'll see.